demand, including recent theater releases. Just $42 a month when you use the promo code ESPNNW at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Lucid Stream TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Lucid Stream TV logo.
With all the changes we're experiencing, don't forget this one important aspect of your kids' lives. Hi, Doug Chamberlain with the Samaritan Ministries Family Health Checkup. Normally, there's a lot for kids to do this time of year, but these days we've had to get creative about keeping them busy. And we have a great opportunity right now amidst all the changes to help them stay connected to God. Here's some ideas. Teach them to look for opportunities to bless others, like sending a card to a shut-in or to someone with an illness. How about a video chat with a missionary? Next, memorizing scripture is always a great idea, and make it fun with a rewards chart. If you're able to go for a walk, have them take notice of God's creation around them and talk with them about what they see. There's so many things you can do to point them to God during this season, so be creative and take advantage of this time together with your kids. For more, visit us on Facebook or at FamilyHealthCheckup.org.
Powered by Panama City Toyota. Your home for Auburn Tiger basketball. WGSX Lynn Haven. WVLQ Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Give us a call, 850-215-6290.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
Oh, you gotta give him that fuck.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Onion pickles.
Live and local on ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You're now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs and tuned in to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, where you can keep the game going. We are now on your smart speaker for in-home listening. Just say, hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. You can also head over to www.espnpc.com and click Enable Skill. I'm David Hayes, along with Caveman Rick and Chef Ross. We also have Bone Crusher in the building with us on the ones and twos. Chef Ross, my man, how are you doing after your total hip replacement there in early January?
I'm doing a lot better. I'm still on the road to recovery, but I'm out of the house finally, thank God. And I'm able to do some things around and still not in a whole lot of pain. So each day is getting better and better. One day closer to getting home, getting back to work.
There you go. Got you some fatties this afternoon. What was on the menu for you at Fatties?
Always go with the French Dunker. That thing is phenomenal.
You always get the same thing? As a chef, isn't that kind of boring? Coming from a boring person themselves whenever it comes to getting food.
Yeah, I mean, I switched that in the
Midnight Joker? You ever had the Midnight Joker?
I have not. I've had his pizzas, his Sloppy Joes, his French Dunker. I recommend that.
I'm the kind of person, when I go out, I usually frequent the same kind of dish at certain places because I just it's something I like there and just kind of stick with it, you know.
I guess I'm in between. I'm not going to go too far into the valley of exploration, if you will, but I'll try anything once. But if I know I like something, you know, the more, I don't want to say fancy, because fancy food, man, you pay a whole lot of money for a lot less portions there, but I can be adventurous at times, but I don't like just go with Fatties. Every time that I go to Fatties, I get a different place or I get a different sandwich, and I always ask for the recommendation. They always recommend the same thing, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna try something different here.
Yeah, if you're gonna recommend, I mean, I'm sure you got your house specialties or whatever, the stuff that you're really known for, but if they kind of get to know you and, you know, they know you should come in there and usually get different stuff, it'd be kind of cool. What's hot right now, or what, got, really good fresh ingredients?
Well, our Philly cheesesteaks are hot. Anything off the grill, Caveman Rick, is going to be hot for you this afternoon.
Philly cheesesteak, you can never go wrong as long as it's done right. And I've been to a lot of places that advertise that they had a good one, and I've been very disappointed many times too. So,
yeah, it's actually very hard to do a quality Philly cheesesteak coming from the shaved ribeyes to the whiz.
Yeah, especially if you know what a good one tastes like too, though. If you're spoiled,
But
some people
Hey,
are.
you can get them things from Domino's, bro.
Let me throw out a quick shout out. This Sunday at the Mothership, there's a jambalaya and chili cook-off going on. And Ian
Let's
from
just keep
Fatty's-
on naming off non-sponsors here. This is
Hey,
a
I
great
didn't name
idea.
them. I didn't name them.
A Bone Crusher. Have you been to Fatty's?
Yeah, got the Italian last time.
The Italian?
Really crushed that, bro.
Yeah,
It was
man.
Good stuff.
Hey, well, all right, what's your favorite restaurant in the area? Just call it and give us what your go-to order is from your favorite restaurant, 850-215-6290. We were all up last night watching Canada taking care of it. Play the Canadian national anthem, dadgummit. No, Canada ended up getting the better of Team USA in hockey last night. The final score was 3-2.
OT?
It wasn't
Called
OT,
it.
it was a 2-2 game headed into the third. The Canadians struck first with Nathan McKinnon, which, I mean, that goal was absolutely asinine to be able to get through the layers that I had to get through to beat Hellebuck.
That's a CNI goal, man. That thing, if it wasn't for all the bodies in front, maybe Hellebuck makes that save. Maybe that game ends differently, if it wasn't for that first goal.
Yeah, well, then the USA came back with 2 unanswered goals, and Canada ties it up there. I believe in the second, we didn't have any goals in the third period, right? It was a scoreless third period, and then Austin Matthews had a bunch of opportunities. Let me not say a bunch. We'll say in between a couple and a few opportunities to clean things up in front of the net and send USA home with the gold. Well, not with the gold, but with the
Championship.
Four Nations face-off
Bennington stood on his
championship.
head, man, like our boy James said he was like Spider-Man in there.
No, I think that was AG.
Oh, was that AG? Okay. I
Yeah,
thought
it was
James. My
AG
bad.
said he was like Spider-Man. AG was all into the game, and he was a little bit ahead of us as well. And so with that being said, he sent a 4-letter word, and I was like, well, I'm hoping, well, maybe it's a penalty. What is it? And then a couple seconds later, you have the game-winning goal by the best player in the sport of hockey right now, and Connor McDavid. And you have to give some blame on that to Austin Matthews as well, because he's a centerman. He should have been staying in the slot there with Connor McDavid, he kind of leaks down there to the boards, and next thing you know, perfect pass to Connor McDavid, perfect shot from Connor McDavid, and that beats Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah, he's basically in the slot between the circles. You can't leave a sniper like that, like McDavid, or if you want, depending where you're coming from, they call him McJesus up north of the border. You can't do that with a guy that's that world class of a player, man. That's assassin work right there.
The last 2 championship goals have been beaten by us by the top player in the league.
I don't know about the
2010 was
last
Sid.
one. No, I wouldn't call him that. But anyway,
He's not. That's because you're not a big fan of Sidney Crosby.
Yeah,
but
Cindy, no.
In 2010, when he was at 2010, Sydney was one of the best
It's not a
players in the
Freudian
game, if
slip,
not the
man.
best player in the game.
There's reason for that. Let's just go there. Sorry, Penguin fans out there if you're listening, but yeah, I'm a hater. I wear the orange and black. Don't like Pittsburgh. Don't like Sid the Kid. Think he got gifted to Pittsburgh, so.
Well, you had Connor McDavid won Player of the Game. Then Nathan McKinnon won the tournament MVP. I believe he led the tournament in goals. And how about that for Bennington? To be able to win how he did back in
17 with the Blues.
2017 with the Blues against the Boston Bruins, and then to come back to the building and then win one for his country, regardless of the loss there. What hockey was able to accomplish, what U.S. hockey was able to accomplish with the Four Nations face-off was, absolutely incredible. The fact that I can listen to national radio and they're talking about it for 30, 45 minutes at a time, and how I know that they don't watch hockey. Not only do they, talk about not watching hockey, but I'm like, well, half of what you guys are talking about just sounds very generic as it is, but that's a really cool thing. It's really great for the sport of hockey that everyone's talking about it, and hopefully Gary Bettman and the rest of the hockey leaders do what it takes now to do the right thing with what's happened here in the Four Nations face-off.
Yeah, definitely every 2 years, like they're talking, do a format like this, and then 2 years later do the Olympics. You can throw in like an all-star, like traditional kind of game somewhere in there in between, and I think everybody will be happy. But you couldn't have been more, happy with this tournament unless obviously your country won, right? Outside of that, I mean, the NHL totally just did everything top notch. Great, series. The only thing that I think was lacking maybe is maybe a few more teams and have a few more games,
Yeah, 724 says, sounds like a Flyers fan. When's the last time they won anything?
75, I know. But hey,
that was when SNL came out.
Know your history, though. The Philadelphia Flyers have been to that Stanley Cup final more times than anybody else has been since then, even though we have not won, though. So
there you go. Buffalo Bills
We've run into buzzsaw teams in the 80s. It was the Edmonton Oilers, arguably one of the greatest hockey teams ever, formed. In the 90s, it was the Detroit Red Wings. Back around 2010, who was it? Chicago Blackhawks, another team that won 3 Stanley Cups. So if it wasn't for these teams that were just a little bit better than us, we'd have ours. But hey, I'm happy about my team. We'll get there again.
I got to tell you, though, watching that game from a Tampa Bay Lightning fan point, obviously, I'm 100% in on Team USA, but the coach of the Canadian teams, John Cooper, that's the Tampa Bay Lightning's head coach. You got Braden Point, Brandon Hagel, and Anthony Cirelli all on a line. So when those guys are on the ice, it's kind of hard not to be like, well, if you do score a goal right here, I'm not going to be the most mad in the world. And then Coach Coop, which both Team USA and he's a dual citizen, so both Team USA and Canada reached out to him back in 2018, 2019 or so, to become the head coach, and because Canada was 10 minutes first prior to USA reaching out, he took the job with the Canadians there. So I don't know if that would have made that big of a difference. Coach Sullivan seemed to do a great job. It also heard that Kreider, well, not as much that Kreider wasn't playing because that was a coach's decision. He did play a little bit later on in the stretch of the game, but Matthew Tkachuk really didn't come off of the bench with about 7 minutes left to go in the second period.
He only played like 8 or 9 minutes total in the game. I don't know, a couple handfuls of shifts. So obviously he's probably pretty hurt. He's probably going to be out for a little while. That's one thing I think the U.S. hurt themselves a little bit too much there. Literally and figuratively. The Tkachuk brothers, boy, they were dynamite, and they had some fireworks in this series, in this tournament, let me tell you. But I think it might have been a little too much too soon. They might have should have saved themselves a little bit. Maybe they were a little overzealous in some of those earlier games, and that's the reason why they had the woes that they did with the injury problems that they had. I think next time around, when they were talking about how this is going to sting and sit with them for a while, I think maybe they'll save themselves a little bit so that when they get there to that championship game, that they will be a little bit more rested, ready to play, and be able to help their country, get the gold or get the win.
Yeah, but they did need every ounce of effort in the Saturday game against Canada. There was no point at all that game was out of line. Even when they made the empty netter to go up 2 goals, Canada could have easily came back if they didn't stick with the pressure and the physicality.
Maybe so. I mean, coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's not a what if Wednesday, but I think the team had enough talent. But like I said,
it's a flashback Friday.
Yeah, there you go. I think sometimes though, like I said, if you're planning on being there, you got to save yourself a little bit. Canada didn't overextend themselves. They had all their guys ready to play. I don't want to say that they were a little bit smarter in that sense, but look, they got the win in the end.
I'm over here watching Around the Horn, man. Woody Page, whatever tannin oil he's on, is he looks like a totally different guy in those bags under his
Well, good for him, too. The dude's been on there for quite a long time, and he's still got all that energy, man, and he's still coming with it every day. He's still got the chalkboard, too, so big ups to old Woody Page.
Yeah, there you go. I just almost didn't recognize him with as dark as he is.
I mean, you look at some of the other guys that have been on there. Plaschke's on there. He's not looking so hot right now,
Yeah, he does not look himself, if you will. But again, as you get, Kornheiser and Wilbon, they look like the same as if PTI just started.
Yeah, a little less hair on those guys, a little bit more gray hair on the face of Kornheiser. But yeah, those guys have been coming at it. I mean, longer than these dudes. I mean, Reality, old stat boy, he got his start, with those two dudes, and then took the job from old Max Kellerman, the old original host of Old Around the Horn. These 3 things I know are true.
There you go. Death, taxes, and Canada beating USA and
yeah, no doubt,
gold medal games.
Man.
When's the last time? The only time, 1996 and the World Cup of Hockey. It wasn't even the Olympics. World Cup of Hockey.
Cool story about that, man. Brett Hull. I mean, he had dual citizenship. He could play for either team. Canada didn't want him. So he played for U.S.
Really? Canada didn't want Brett?
Yeah, well, they had guys like Gretzky. They had Lemieux.
Who are those guys? I never heard of them.
Right. They had, Eric Lindros on that team, John LeClaire. I mean, they had a litany of players that they could draw from. I don't know why you didn't want a guy like Brett Hull, but they actually built that team not only just with goal scorers and snipers, but, with grit and stuff too, and some role players. And that's what you kind of have to do in these tournament settings. But U.S. got the better of them. Mike Richter stood on his head. Guys like Brian Leach were a big help in that series. Adam Graves. So, big ups to them. A lot of New York guys, were playing, but they just came off a Stanley Cup a couple years prior. So kind of makes sense.
Wright State, Chris says Wright State is going to be taking on Auburn. They're at Auburn this weekend and then Ole Miss next weekend. He also gave us his recommendation or his go-to place with his go-to order, which is at Pizzeria Napoli. He gets stromboli, wings, some extra Alfredo, and of course, you gotta have the ranch for the wings. He also says that we can all agree that Brad Marchand is a gnat. He uses a different four-letter word there. Yes, he absolutely is. But again, I think his response to, I believe it was Brady Kachuk, you could say whatever you want to, but whenever, it comes down to what happens on the ice, and sometimes those words are going to come back to bite you, which we see happen all the time in the world of sports. And I'll tell you, Brad Marchand isn't the same player that he was 2 or 3 years ago. However, on the flip side of that, I like having those Nat type of players, like for a while, Pat Maroon or Corey Perry, when he was on the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's one of those enforcer type of, I'm going to ruffle your feathers and get in the head of your superstars, and that's what Brad Marchand is as well.
The face slicker.
I mean, hey, look, who was it? Lance Stevenson, the kiss blower.
Yeah, I think I lean back to more like the mid-'90s kind of instigator type guys, the guys like the Matthew Barnabys, the Darius Kasparaitis is out there, or even like maybe 15 years ago, like Sean Avery. He was another character. I liked seeing him, especially like when he got in goalies' faces instead of having his rear end, facing them and getting close and trying to block them and get in the crease. Avery would go face to face, making faces, talking to them, taunting them, things of that nature. So those kinds of dudes, they're the kind of guys that you hate them when they're not on your team, but damn, you want them wearing your jersey.
I know everyone was so excited. Yeah, no, absolutely right there. Everyone was so excited about the Four Nations Cup. Really, the excitement was, I think for hockey fans, the excitement was there, but the excitement didn't start nationwide until Saturday night, as soon as that puck dropped. And had it not gone that way, I don't know if people are sitting here talking about that as much as what they are, right? Because great hockey isn't necessarily what gets people tuned in that aren't fans of hockey as it is. But I'm glad that it did, and everyone's so excited. Look, other sports should be doing this. This is how you get your players, playing full force.
Yeah, for
in
real.
their all-star. But this again. So next year Olympics, right? Now, I think for your hockey fans, that's huge, right? We love international hockey. That's the real deal. Yes, I will say, though, it's not going to have the same effect across the board because we are an instant gratification generation. And so I think that it was actually beneficial, the fact that they only had 4 teams compared to 8, and there's not as much to distract from Canada and USA, and there's not as many games to keep up with and all of that good stuff.
But in the international game, this is the thing that's going to change.
It's also not NHL rules.
This is what I was going to get at. And you're playing on the bigger ice surface, right? The international ice surface. That's going to allow your Swedens, your Finlands of the world to actually catch up because they're used to that more finesse and speed game, whereas those North Americans, the Canadians and the U.S., were used to that more physical, smaller ice surface, a lot more checking, okay? big reason why Finland and Sweden, I think, don't match up when we have these types of tournaments is because they just don't have that physicality. It has changed a little bit through the years. It's not like it was 25 years ago. You do have a lot more physical Norwegian-type players than you did back in the day, but still being used to playing on that bigger ice surface and having more room, that lends to them having better games, I think, and better series than our guys do, because our guys are used to playing on that smaller surface.
And it's going to be a lot harder for us Americans to turn in and watch a more finesse game when we're used to the physicality and the hitting and chicklets laying out on the ice.
Yeah, especially Americans who don't follow the sport of hockey, because hockey, especially if you've never been to a game, is hard enough to follow as it is. Like, I saw Will Compton posting on Twitter, and he's not wrong about this, having, a visual underneath the player, which I've seen on some broadcast, a visual under the player signifying that he has the puck and where that puck is going with the laser. Me, myself, personally, I've, watched enough hockey that I can kind of, have a good idea of where that puck's going to go for the most part anyway. But at the same time, you don't want to eliminate or alienate people who haven't watched, especially for these big time events.
Well, then do it like you do, like how they have on Amazon Prime.
ESPN2.
You do it like on ESPN2. You have a StatCast that's kind of similar to
Pat
Amazon
McAfee and
Prime.
someone else who doesn't even follow hockey commentate in the game.
Possibly, you do something like that. You can give some fans that want to see, like Adam always tries to needle me with the Fox Tracks pucks from back in the day. He liked that, which I thought was total garbage. But hey, AG, if you like that, more power to you. Purists, we don't need it. We're good without it.
Yeah, I'm excited about the Olympics, so that's for sure. And then 2027, I would imagine you go back to a normal, traditional, back to the 3-on-3 tournament. 2028, they're going to have the World Cup of hockey. So I would say that it's going to be one of those situations where it's once every 4 years, you'll have a traditional all-star game. You'll have the 4 nations or potentially 8 nations face off. Then you'll have the World Cup of hockey, and then you'll have the Olympics, which is a great rotation because it keeps everything fresh. It's not the same every single year. And so, but for other sports to be able to just look at what the NHL did, how do we do that? It's not that simple.
Well, you
can't just do that with basketball.
Look at the World Baseball Classic, though.
Right, but how often do we play that? Like once every decade?
Yeah, every 4. They need to do that more often because you've seen the intensity there. Like when you had Trout and Ohtani going against each other. That's what people want to see, right?
Yeah.
So if they were to do that more often, you would actually have the same kind of intensity. You would have the same kind of following, I think, doing baseball like that. Unfortunately, I just don't see it in basketball. Really, they can change up what they want in the NBA. They can do U.S. versus the world or however they want to do that format. I don't care how they do it. I still don't think that they're going to get that kind of intensity unless the game actually goes back to where the game was being played in the 80s and 90s with hand checking and a lot more physicality.
I would say if the world were to beat the U.S. maybe 2-3 times in a row, then the U.S. guys would start caring a little bit more. Maybe. Then maybe you could get them putting in 90 or 100%.
I just think when they have that weekend, it's just all about taking a rest, listening to some music, signing some autographs, chilling with their buddies, It
is a celebration.
It is. You can have that though, and you can still have that intensity. You can still have something that's meaningful.
How long ago has it been that the best player in the NBA is an American player? Probably have to go back to LeBron.
LeBron James.
Yeah, but that's still 5 years ago.
Well, who do you say is the best player in the league?
You go from LeBron to Giannis to Jokic.
Jokic is the best right now. Easy.
Wemby's on his way up there.
When you can take
Wemby's out for the season.
When somebody like Jokic can be 65, 70 foot away from the basket, and he can basically throw the ball like a quarterback, and he can swish it. I mean, that shows you something right there. Steph Curry can't even do that one-handed. You know, I mean, he doesn't have the physicality, the body type for that. But, I mean, that's a hell of a shot, dude. That just shows you how impressive of a player that guy is.
Well, we will see what the NBA tries to do, or if they continue to, go with their new version of the revamped All-Star game where it's 3 quarters, essentially. We'll see what ends up happening. All we do know is that it was a success for the NHL this year with the Four Nations face-off, despite the USA falling to Canada in the final game, 3-2 in overtime. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, we've got some more headlines to dive into. Find out how Caveman Rick feels about the new Saints hire, who is a former Eagles coach. Ours aren't working.
Your home for college basketball. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Tomorrow, the 24-2 Auburn Tigers welcome the 16-10 Georgia Bulldogs to the jungle. When the Dogs and the Tigers played last, Auburn escaped from Athens with a 2-point win. Georgia is looking for the upset, while the number 1 Auburn Tigers look unstoppable. Tip-off at 3 on your home for college basketball.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Mostly sunny the remainder of the day with a wind coming out of the northeast around 9 miles per hour and 53. Tonight, look for a light wind and partly cloudy skies with a temperature near 41. Tomorrow, a high around 60 and mostly sunshine with a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, quite warm with a high of 60 and some clouds. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Bendian's Best Moves is a local moving company in Panama City, providing reliable services to the families and businesses in our community. Coveted for the long list of services they provide, experts at what they do, and they do it all from start to finish. The pros at Bendian's Best Moves have moved doctors, attorneys, pastors, schools, small businesses, the federal government, and they can move you too. For the best moving experience, it's Bendian's Best Moves. Call now, 850-583-0814.
From the diamond to the end zone, from the studio to the sideline, we're the destination for sports on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
We're back. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick, Chef Ross, and the Bone Crusher. And this is ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for Auburn Tiger basketball. Tomorrow, the Tigers are hosting the Georgia Bulldogs. Cover starts right here at 2:30 for a 3 p.m. tip for the Deep South's oldest rivalry there on the hardwood. Obviously, that's the name of the football rivalry, but they'll be playing a little basketball tomorrow afternoon. Number 1 team in the land, the Auburn Tigers, taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Should be a good game. Should be I don't want to say an easy win. There's no such thing as a truly easy win in the SEC right now. What do you got, Bone Crusher?
2 points. Dogs lost to Auburn by 2 points last game.
Okay.
Dogs looking for a little bit of payback. That was a close game, man.
Hey, there we go. I'm with it, especially for the struggling Tide right now, who have dropped the last Saturday to the Auburn Tigers, and then the weekday game, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, falling to Missouri. And Missouri just absolutely, both teams really, from beginning to end, Auburn took care of business against Alabama, and then Missouri did the same exact thing. Alabama would try to claw back, but the final score of the Missouri-Alabama game was 110-98. They were over 200 total points. Probably could have made a nice little wager on that. Chef Ross, how did your wagers go last night?
Not very well.
That's it. I had one hit, man. McDavid getting a goal.
There you go.
$20 to win 70.
I tell you what, player props might be one of the more they're not guarantees. There's nothing guaranteed in sports
except
betting.
for Jalen Hurts, tush push. That's a guaranteed player prop.
Yeah, a tush.
Touchdown,
rushing touchdown. Yeah. No, you absolutely can make that happen. Well, the Saints have been making their hires. Obviously, they've hired Kellen Moore, who was the offensive coordinator from the Philadelphia Eagles. They also went out and got Brandon Staley, who was a former coach of the LA Chargers. He's going to be the defensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. But they've also made their hire for offensive coordinator. which is Doug Nussmeier, which his son is the quarterback over there for LSU. Okay, Benrick, how did you feel about, quarterback play? We've seen growth in Jalen Hurts. How do you think Nussmeier is going to fit in with Kellen Moore, who Nussmeier's been following Kellen Moore since, I believe,
7 or 8 years now.
At least he's been with the Cowboys. Nussmeier was the offensive coordinator for Alabama in 2012, 2013. When you go back and you look at all of the places, all the stops that he's been, he really kind of just goes to a place for like a year or two. But the Cowboys, he was with them from 2020 to 2022. Kellen Moore left, went to the Chargers in 2023. Nussmeier was with him there, was the quarterback's coach. Then they both went to the Eagles. Nussmeier follows him over there to be the quarterback's coach, and now he makes the upgrade to offensive coordinator. How do you think that works out for a team that doesn't even really know who their quarterback is going to be right now?
I hope they fail and fall flat on their face, to be honest with you. I'm kind of sick and tired of my coordinators getting poached after every season, especially after, Super Bowl wins. Like I said maybe a few weeks back, I'd like to see something where at least my team, at least the Philadelphia Eagles, slip something in some contracts where, hey, if you're going to leave after a year, we get some kind of compensation out of some of these guys, because frankly, I'm kind of sick and tired of it, to be honest with you.
At least this year only lost one coordinator.
It's their right, I guess in some respects, but you sign a contract or whatever, for however many years, and then a year later you're gone. I don't like that. So hopefully we get to play the Saints and we get a little revenge on that. I'd like to make Kellen Moore a little sorry that he left the Philadelphia Eagles. With Nussmeier following him around, though, he seems to be like a puppy dog following Kellen Moore around. If they're good buddies and they got good chemistry, then more power to them. Can't really knock it. Nick Sirianni, he promoted Patullo to be OC for us, for the Philadelphia Eagles. They have history. He's followed, Nick Sirianni around all the places he's been before he came to Philadelphia. So you see that, in football and in other sports too, when, there's a bit of a relationship there with some coaching people and bringing them, back with their staffs and moving around. So, not totally surprised. Like I said, kind of sick of it. Like to see a little change there. Like to have a little continuity with my team, too. I want to see some people stay there for a while. Look at Jalen Hurts. Seems like every year he's got a new coordinator. And kudos to him, though. Look at how good he keeps playing and what he's doing, though, having to change, coordinators and change, languages, basically, if you will, year to year. So if you can keep doing that and have that adversity and you still have lots of success, just shows you more of how great of a player you are.
So would you rather be a team like your team that loses a lot of coordinators, or somebody like the Lions that goes 100 years without ever having a coordinator poached?
Hey, as long as we're winning, whatever. If we're winning, then that's great. But if we're doing that and we're, losing, every year, then no, I don't want that. I want some continuity. But like I said, I'd like to have some continuity just because, look at what we're doing with all the changes. Imagine how much greater we can be if we didn't have that. I don't want to give any props to the Kansas City Chiefs, but you've had Andy Reid there, you've had Spags there, together with Patrick Mahomes now. There's been continuity there for a number of years, and look at the success that they've had. So I'd like to mirror something like that and keep some of the same guys around for quite a while and hopefully have that type of success.
Do you think with hiring within that maybe this becomes more consistent with you, at least with Patullo?
I would hope that maybe, there's some loyalty there and not the need or the want to jump ship and go, become a head coach someplace else. We've seen before some of these coordinators move on to become a head coach and fall flat on their face. Some people might just be better at being a coordinator than they are running the whole ship and running the whole show, Unfortunately, sometimes you actually have to go down that road to actually find out that, hey, maybe head coaching's not for you and maybe you should just stick at that coordinator role.
And there you go.
Does that give Sirianni more responsibility on the offensive side now?
Nah, he's still a CEO coach, I think. Patullo's been with him for a while. Obviously, he's got trust in the guy, so I don't think anything like that would change. I think he's going to hand him over the reins. The only thing is how are they going to run that offense? Are they still going to utilize Saquon the same way? Is running the ball still going to be a priority for the team and such? If so, then I think we'll probably have a lot of that same success. If he decides to change it up, maybe get a little too cute for himself, want to show that, he's this great offensive mind, he wants to chuck the ball around the yard. Unfortunately, that can be a detriment to us. I'd like to keep it the same. Running the ball and having a great defense is always a good formula for winning football games.
There you go, Caveman Rick's thoughts there on not just Nussmeier, but also their hire with Patullo. Do we think that this...
I was going to say real quick, Nussmeier then with LSU. Wonder if when he comes out, is he going to stay in the state of Louisiana and go play for Daddy?
Well, they're going to have a high draft pick because they're terrible this year. No chance of improving this year's squad with as bad as their salary cap money is.
How high is Nussmeier going to be at the top of the list for drafting, though, after this season coming up, though? I mean, would he be? My
answer is not that.
He's a junior going into this year, yes? So he would be available for the draft?
Yeah, he would be available after this year. My thing is I think Nussmeier's a capable quarterback. There was a lot of hype around him last year, and it never really formulated. And Brian Kelly's going to need a huge year from Nussmeier, but also the defense is going to have to step up tremendously, or else Brian Kelly is out of his family. Yeah. That family is going to be facing divorce from their head coach. So we'll see how it ends up playing out. But I mean, do I think that Nussmeier is going to be a top pick? Do I think that the Saints are on their way to getting a top draft pick in 2026? 100%, bro. They're negative $65 million, and we just got $22 million extra. And right, I mean, the Patriots are sitting there with like $121 million going into this year. The Titans are up there, $45 million after the new month. So it's one of the. I mean, I'm looking at it like the Titans could honestly go after Sam Darnold this year, and then you have the situation where you bring in Sam Darnold. Now you let Will Levis, if there's any chance at all for Will Levis, let him sit behind Sam Darnold for a few years. Then let him go somewhere else and maybe revive his career in the same way that Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold have done. Like, it's not, his track record so far in the NFL doesn't dictate how forever will go for him.
The only reason I say Nussmeier can be one of those top picks is he's a quarterback. Above average quarterbacks are usually top 10 picks because they play the position, and it's so rare to find that guy that all these teams are way overdrafting to get that top tier draft pick. If he played any other position, he's probably not even a first round pick.
It might not be a first-round pick after this season's over, too, next college season. So we'll have to wait and see. And
that's really what it comes down to, or what are the other quarterbacks that are going to be drafted? I mean, right now, when you think about it, who's the top draft pick? Who's the top quarterback going into 2026?
That's a good question.
Right. Is it Arch? He's eligible.
Yeah, but again...
he needs to play.
If you're going off of name only, then sure, why not? Why not? But in reality, if he was really that good, and Tyler Bishop brings this up all the time, if he was really that good, then I don't think that Quinn Ewers gets his job back. So Arch Manning is number one. But this isn't just quarterback. Hold on, let me bring in. All right, Nico Imaleva out of Tennessee. You got Penn State's quarterback Drew out. I mean, there's a reality. Yes, there's a reality. Lenore Sellers out of South Carolina, and then Garrett Nussmeier comes in at 5. So really, I mean, you think this last year's quarterback class was bad? Unless
USC's
someone
Miller
really,
Moss maybe, but
he's not even with. He'll be playing for someone else next year. Miller Moss will, but regardless, he's one of those guys that has the arm capability from what we've seen. But really, what are we going off of? We're going off of an overreaction from a bowl game at the end of not last year, but the year prior to that. So I don't know. Like, to me, Miller Moss isn't someone that I'm salivating over, but none of these quarterbacks are. Arch Manning, name only. He's got the body. He's got the 6'4" frame, right? But I forget all the time that Nico's 6'6". I mean, if he can, and this is, I really do think that Nico could be the best quarterback in the SEC next year, because he had growing pains that he had to go through being the first-year starter for the Tennessee Volunteers. If their defense and their run game is what it was this last year, Tennessee is going to be a threat to be reckoned with in the SEC this year. As much as I hate to say it, a team who has beaten Alabama twice in the last 3 years, I don't look forward to that, but that's just the reality of what it is. Drew Aller, I know. I mean, if Penn State get some legitimate wide receivers, then maybe we'll see more out of Drew Aller. But until then, I mean, this last year, Drew Aller wasn't, it was Penn State as a whole that kind of got to where they got to. It wasn't Drew Aller putting him on his back.
Because it kills him that there was 0 completed passes to a wide receiver in his last game.
Absolutely. So we'll see about what 2026 looks like. But I'm not, it's hard to look past an entire season and guess who's going to be that guy. Because someone, well, right. But what I'm getting at is that we're going off of their 2024 in reference to what's going to happen in 2026. There's going to be someone that we're not even talking about right now who's going to rise up to the top of the rankings for, I mean, who knows if Castellanos, the transfer from Boston College, going over to Florida State, revives them, right? Yeah. And I don't know exactly what class he is, if you will, but he could take Florida State to new heights, and then all of a sudden he's moving up to the top of the draft class. Do I think that that's a real possibility? He sure enough better get Florida State to 8 wins next year. That's one thing that we need to see out of Thomas Castellanos next year. But there's going to be someone who's not really on the radar who becomes on the radar. I mean, could Carson Beck have the same type of surge as what Cam Ward did?
Because Carson Beck was one of those people 2 years ago, guaranteed top 5 pick, and now
drops back.
He has last year's horrible season.
Well, and you're going to see people, too, or players that go to the combine, and all of a sudden, because of their workouts and their interviews and whatnot, they end up climbing the ranks, or some of these guys end up falling based off of maybe what some of these teams find out about that they didn't already know, but until they got to delve into them a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many factors that come into it, and honestly, how much longer does the draft for quarterbacks, or at least for first round picks, how much longer does the combine really matter? I think that it should matter. Don't get me wrong here, but if we're seeing spring games kind of go away, we're seeing the landscape, the normality of football change drastically. So if you're Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, what's kind of the point in going to the combine when everyone already knows, like, you're going to be one of the top we're not saying you're going to be number 1 or number 2, but you're going to be within the first 6 picks of the NFL draft. So yeah, are you going to move
if
there's
anything,
no
you're going to go down.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so why put yourself in that position?
Yeah, you go to there. Okay.
Who was the last top quarterback that actually threw in the combine?
And most of them just throw at their pro days, which is, I mean, that's pretty much irrelevant as it is anyway.
The quarterbacks that throw, they're the ones that are the fringe players. They're the ones that have to make a name for themselves, that didn't get the exposure throughout the regular season that they might have should have gotten. That's their platform, their opportunity to actually make a name for themselves. These other guys, like we're talking about Sanders and such, they've already made a name for themselves, like David's saying. They can only hurt their draft stock, not really improve their draft stock by going and doing the combine.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Everyone in the NFL combine should have to run the 40, right? I mean, that should be like, not in the NFL combine. Everyone who's going to the draft, period. If they're going to the combine or not, they should have to show up one day for the at the combine to run the 40.
Why do you think that, though? What's your stick on that?
Entertainment
You just want to watch
purposes
the
only.
40?
And not even care about watching it, just hearing about it later, you know?
And they should outrun Rich Eisen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Rich Eisen has to run it every year, then everyone who's getting drafted...
and a suit, too, on top of it.
Okay, well, there you go. Let's just save the 40 for draft day and make them all run in suits.
I mean...
Do you think they would run their 40 faster in a suit or in pads?
I was thinking pads.
You think they would run their 40 faster?
Yeah, because
it depends on how the suit is
You're going
fitted.
to be more comfortable in pads because that's something.
But they don't have to wear shoes. They don't have to wear shoes when they're wearing the suit.
I don't know about that. I still think, okay, some of these kids, they might not even wear a suit before in their lifetime before they got there.
So it's
going to
be uncomfortable.
So it might be a little uncomfortable, something that's like, making them feel like not the norm. You're in your pads, you're in your normal like environment. I think you'll move faster, you'll be more comfortable, you'll be like upstairs too, up in your head, a lot more right.
And these days, all the suits are daggum
slim suits now.
Yeah,
they're all tighter and stuff. You don't have as much room. I was going to
call them a version of huggers, but
yeah, they got that slim look. Yeah, everybody's going that route right now.
Exactly. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. It's time to play the game. Let's play a little trivia. Give us a holler right now, 850-215-6290, and I've got a chance for you to win $25 to not the, but that boot store, and it is an absolute softball.
Biggest softball ever.
What were you looking for on there?
Her game.
Northwest Florida is taking it to the hole. Your home for the most live college basketball in the Gulf Coast. The ACC, SEC, and the biggest games in the country. Plus the official station of March Madness.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
Hear every slam dunk in ultra-high fidelity right here.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Mostly sunny the remainder of the day with a wind coming out of the northeast around 9 miles per hour and 53. Tonight, look for a light wind and partly cloudy skies with a temperature near 41. Tomorrow, a high around 60 and mostly sunshine with a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, quite warm with a high of 60 and some clouds. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Billburn Kia during the President's Day sale going on all month long. Are you looking for a fuel-efficient SUV that doesn't compromise on style, comfort, and performance? Stop in today at Billburn Kia and let our team put you behind the wheel of your new Kia. Billburn Kia is now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento. Billburn Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBurnKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento with $1,748 per month per $1,000 financed in 60 months. Qualities limited, cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is the Billburn Kia warranty. See dealer for complete detail. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 3/3/25.
Brace yourself and strap in for the ultimate adrenaline rush.
It's showtime.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here. And this is ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We are your spot for select Orlando Magic games. And tonight it is the Grizzlies at the Magic, and tip-off will start at 6 p.m. this evening. I'm David Hayes along with a full cast this afternoon now. We've got Caveman Rick, Chef Ross, and the Barbie Morgan Hilliard back in the building with us along with Bone Crusher, making sure that we sound just right. What's going on, Morgan? You're supposed to be here hour number 2. You're 15 minutes earlier. We're not paying you any more Dr. Pepper until hour number 2, okay?
First of all, you'll have to fight me. You can pry this Dr. Pepper out of my cold, dead hands.
Okay, what's an athlete that beats up on women out there?
All of them.
Ray Rice, where you at, buddy?
Ray Rice, come on down to the ESPN Northwest
If they're
Florida
not beating
studios.
up women, they're driving cars really fast. I don't know.
Oh, so now you're just going straight to Georgia. Is that right? Wow.
You hear that, Tyler Bishop?
Do you hear me,
Tyler
Rasheed
Bishop,
Rice?
Bone Crusher, how are we feeling about that, Rasheed Rice? Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, so trivia is what we left off with. We still got a whole lot of topics to dive into this afternoon. And I told you guys it was a softball, so we'll read off the question. You guys can call in for it, 850-215-6290. Got a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock, $25 to not the, but that boot store, and a $10 Golf Plus gift certificate to the great store over there, Shops at Edgewater, right next door to Firefly. Which NFL team won Super Bowl 20 and was also known, this is the biggest clue of all time, Monsters of the Midway, a fierce rival to the Packers of Chef Ross? What'd you have, Kevin?
No, I was just going to say it's nice of you guys to offer a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock to throw in the fridge.
Yeah, there you go. We got to probably put a whole nother 12-pack of Dr. Peppers every time that Morgan comes around, because she's just drinking us out of all of them.
She's like Forrest Gump drinking some Dr. Peppers.
I saw a post the other day. It was like sipping on that Dr. Doctor. That was literally the name of the soda.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's about the only generic drink that is comparable to actual Dr. Pepper. Like when you go with Mountain Lightning or what is it? Country
Mist.
Yeah, Country Mist. Yeah.
That was the Czech one.
Flavor.
Yeah. I worked at
Czech
Winn-Dixie.
had the deals back in the day.
I worked at Winn-Dixie, and I remember when they had to change the name because they were going to get sued because it used to be used to have a dew in it or something like that before.
Did it?
And then they had to change it a little
Country
bit.
Dew.
Lord.
Oh.
Mr. Pibb isn't bad either. I'll accept Mr. Pibb at a restaurant.
Yeah, but that's not generic, though. That's like Coke brand
Yeah,
of
I don't
Dr.
know.
Thunder, baby.
Don't ask
Dr.
me if I
Thunder's.
want Pepsi, though. I'm going to ask if you want Monopoly money.
Okay, all right. Well, Buffalo Rock thinks opposite of that. I'll say that I like Dr. Pepper a whole lot more than I like Pepsi, but I'll also say that there's like, it's almost like seafood for me, where every once in a blue moon I'll be like, I kind of want a Pepsi right now.
My
It's very
problem
rare.
with a lot of these beverage companies is instead of having their own standalone drinks, they want to copycat what the other company has and have their version of it. I'd have more respect for you if you just did your own thing, had your own version, had your own like whatever, and not copycat everybody else's stuff on both sides.
I tell you what, I may not drink your product, but I sure as hell respect it.
Unfortunately, it's what sells, though. There's a lot of brands. So when I lived in College Station and I was going to school over there, I worked for a beer distributor, and on the side they made their own soda, and they tried to go with like the crazy fun flavors, like a blue
Like
drink.
Faygo, how they do.
Or what's the other one?
Fanta.
Yes, Fanta. They tried to do
Fanta.
they try to do that kind of thing, and it just doesn't sell as well as like the copycats do.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is
What
what, I'd
about
like to
Pepsi
see.
Blue
How
back
about
in the
this?
day, though?
How about
That
Pepsi?
was-
You remember Pepsi Clear?
That was a little bit before my time, but I remember my mom always talking about like
Coke
Pepsi
2,
Clear was
total
so
garbage.
good.
You should get rid of that. Coke 2 was a whole bad idea. I don't know why they even did
They need to
that.
go back to the original flavor or formula of Coke.
What I'd like
I'm
to
in.
say, what I'd like though is the generic brands of soda always have a black cherry flavor. I love black cherry soda. Why hasn't anybody done that though? You know?
So Dr. Pepper actually released a raspberry or blackberry flavor of Dr. Pepper
It's
recently.
still
I
Dr.
haven't
It's
tried
still,
it.
it's still got the doctor in it. I don't want the doctor. I want it standalone. Don't need it mixed
want
with
the
anything.
Coke.
Well, how about like the Super Bowl commercial while we're still waiting on a call for trivia? Very easy question this afternoon, 850-215-6290. Which NFL team won Super Bowl 20 and was also known as the Monsters of the Midway? What about the Liquid Death commercial where they had the what was it? The water-flavored cola. Like, that might have been the most stupidest commercial out of all of them, or I guess it was the different flavors that they were branching out into. But it's like, isn't everything always start with water anyways, be it sparkling or, like soda? Soda always starts out with
water.
Carbonated water.
Carbonated
and then
water is
there's
the
flavor.
base, and then you
Yeah.
add the syrup to mix.
I wonder what color it would have been. We've got Drew on the line. Drew, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Have you won in the last 30 days, my friend?
I haven't.
Awesome. Great stuff. All right. Well, we've got a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock, $25 to not the, but that booth store, and a Golf Plus gift certificate. All you got to do is tell me which NFL team won Super Bowl 20 and is also known as the Monsters of the Midway.
It's Chicago Bears.
The Bears. You're 100% right. Drew, what's your favorite soda?
Oh, gosh.
Dr. Pepper, we're keeping these tickets.
I didn't hear what you said. Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. Wait, hold on. What about Mountain Dew? How do you feel about Mountain Dew?
It's all right.
What about water? Just plain old water from Aquafina.
I'd rather have soda.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got you a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock, and you can get you some of that Dr. Pepper and $25 to that booth store and a Golf Plus gift certificate. Do you play golf?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Great stuff, man. Have you been to Golf Plus yet?
I haven't.
Oh, man, you're going to love it. And you got $10 to get you started. Caveman Rick, what do you got?
Drew, favorite player on the 85 Bears?
Oh, gosh. The fridge?
That's the right answer.
William
There
Terry.
you go, baby. There you go. Yeah.
I don't know. Mongo just got in the Hall of Fame this year, so got to give him some love too.
Right, but the fridge, man, they had all the great commercials, man. They had the Super Bowl shuffle. I mean, the 85 Bears, pretty impressive team. Gave up, like 10 points in the playoffs before the Super Bowl. I mean, yeah, pretty sick. Buddy Ryan, defensive coordinator.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, Drew, just do me a favor. Hang on the line. Bone Crusher's going to grab your info. I know that we've had you on quite a few times, and you keep on winning, and we are appreciative of you listening, my friend.
All right, thank you.
Awesome, great stuff there. All right, so Liquid Death trash. Yeah, moving on. Have you ever had Liquid Death? The water out of the pay $4 for water out of a can?
No,
I'm not doing that.
No. What's your? Do you have like a brand, a favorite brand of water?
Brita water. Anything that's actually
Brita.
been filtered and it doesn't come from a bottle.
Oh, so you don't drink?
She doesn't want the microplastics.
It just tastes like crisper.
Yeah.
It's like
More
crisper
crisp.
water.
I gotcha.
It's a very sharp taste. That's what I'm looking for at 3 a.m.
See, I'm more of a straight out of the water hose.
Yep.
Okay.
Not down here.
Not in Panama City.
Well,
or if you live on the beach.
I'm from the Northeast, man. We got great water up in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania area. Lots of, rocks, mountains, great dirt, soil to like filter the water. And yeah, so good water, man, that you can just drink out of the tap. Down here, I hate to say this area down here, not great water out of the tap. Let's just
I
put it that
disagree,
way.
man. Boil water notice, I get excited because I'm like, oh, here we go, baby. What about you, Chef Ross? You got a favorite brand of water?
I was thinking straight out of the hose back in the day.
There you go, man. I remember one day at work when I was putting up awnings, the boss lady bought a new water hose, and she's asking, I forget if she asked me to like go wash off some frames or wash the truck or something like that. But so I'm hooking up the water hose and I'm reading it, and it says do not drink out of the hose. I'm like, this is asinine that they actually have to put this on the water hose these days when this was the way to go back in the day. It tasted better, especially when that first spurt that like came out was hot as all get out, and then it started getting cold. It's like it don't get no better than that.
I've never questioned how delusional you are until right now. Just how delusional are
I'd be
you?
careful nowadays though with the stuff that's like stuff's being made out of like the hoses. I worked at a RV place too, and you actually have hoses made specifically for water and drinking water and stuff as opposed to like your garden hose. So it'd be smart to probably use a hose that's specifically for water, like to drink.
Didn't even know that they did that, so I'll be looking next time I go.
Yeah, they're usually blue or white as opposed to the green. See,
I'm a big fan of non-potable water hose.
It's the gray one.
Yeah, I like blue water. I go into the porta potty sometimes. Like, here we go, baby. I like it. My favorite color is blue. Might as well make my water a deep, deep blue, looking like some oceanic blue. And this will be the last time Morgan joins us here on the show. She's like, yeah, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I might get sick just sitting in the same building as you guys. Juan Soto, he bought his new Mets teammate Brett Beatty a new car in exchange for the number 22 number, and he's been driving the same car since high school. So that's pretty cool stuff out of the New York Mets spring training camp.
I think when he got paid, I would want maybe a fleet of vehicles as opposed to one vehicle, just for that. I mean, a number for a player is a big deal. They have a lot of superstition, right? So, I think I would have want more than just a new car, to be perfectly honest with you. He's got enough money coming in. He can pay me. He can give me more than a car.
What did he buy him?
It's like an Escalade.
It was that, or like a Suburban, or it looked like some kind of
Like a Tahoe
GM
or
product or
something?
something like that. I was thinking. I know
Maybe
it was
a
black.
Range.
And it was black in color. I seen the video of it, and he seemed pretty stoked. And I get that, and you made the deal. But with somebody that's bringing in that kind of change, I think I could get more. I could get more out of him for it. I mean, you can be nice and do it, unless you got something else going on under the table. Maybe he's like throwing you something else. But I would definitely want more.
Yeah, but it was the fully loaded version, more than likely.
So
if Juan
what?
Soto's buying
It's
it,
a
right?
Tahoe. Anyone can walk into Bill Kramer and buy a Tahoe. I hope your credit's right in this scenario. But anyone can walk into Bill Kramer and buy a Tahoe. I'm asking for something a little bit higher, maybe like a Lexus or something. If like we're trying to like kind of
all right, but see, here's the thing though, guys. There was never a deal made up. Brett Beatty just gave Juan Soto the number, and then Juan Soto just gave him
#dope.
Hashtag respect for your. Well, I wouldn't even say elders at that point because Juan Soto's like the same age as he
So
is.
Beatty. All right, I'm not the biggest baseball guy. I don't remember even hearing of this guy before.
Hold on real quick. This is way more important. Rick Ty says, we grew up with the green hose water, the best. Attaboy, Rick Ty. The green hose water is still the best to this very day.
Maybe he was living in Atlanta where like there's more rocks and the water's a little cleaner up there.
Right State Chris, best tasting water is right after football practice.
Oh, man, yeah. And you don't even want to have cold water with you when it's football practice. You just want to have a well, I was going to say room temperature, but I guess earth temperature bottle of a gallon of water.
Beatty's a fringe player, right? So, I mean, it's not like he's making gobs and gobs of money. This could have been his one opportunity to kind of cash in a little bit and set himself up.
Cash in on, like, I mean, hey, forget your talents as a baseball player. I'm going to cash in on the number that I picked.
Get me a house. Have a house paid off and have a place to live for the rest of your life or something like that, man. Like I said, Soto's making enough money.
Okay.
Like,
how long do you hold out until the GM comes down and says, you either give this number away or I'm cutting you tomorrow? Because I promise you, Juan Soto's getting his number.
Do you take the house if you know that there's a potential for you to be drafted, though? Do you take that deal still? If
yeah, because you can sell the house and you can still get paid on that, and you can still buy a house wherever else you're going. You know, and
put
still
it
have
in your
something.
name and just have him make the mortgage payments?
No, you don't have a mortgage payment. It's like, Juan Soto, this is the house I want. You are buying it for me, paid in full.
I mean,
here's 22.
Like $70 million guaranteed out of it. So
I mean, like, you know,
not guaranteed, but I believe signing bonus.
Oh, like he can't spend $300,000 and get him a pretty nice house or something like that.
$300,000. What is that going to get you these days?
In New York City.
In New York City.
Oh, okay, in New York City. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Well, you commute and stuff like that, but still, even
what are you going to buy him a dumpster?
All right, now you're splitting hairs.
Yeah.
But like, here's the deal: if you took that deal, I'd be knocking you, all right, and be calling you a dope.
But see, I'm the type of person. Well, I think I would. Like, if there's someone who's coming onto the team who I know is better than me, I don't think that I'm going to be the type of guy who says, well, hold on now, what kind of a deal are we going to work out for it? I think it's just going to be like, hey, like, welcome in. I want our team to be as good as we possibly can be. And my number's not even 22 in the first place. So there's that. But I think that I would just be like, here you go, man. And then hopefully, dude, if I get a Tahoe out of a baseball number, like, regardless of how you guys feel about it, give me a 2007 Chevrolet Silverado with 150,000 miles on it for my number, and I'll be just fine with it as well. Coming up next is hour number 2. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got a whole bunch more of headlines to get into. We're going to find out how Morgan feels about the fact that Texas, USC, and Nebraska ain't playing no daggum spring games.
Your home for college basketball. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Tomorrow, the 24-2 Auburn Tigers welcome the 16-10 Georgia Bulldogs to the jungle. When the Dogs and the Tigers played last, Auburn escaped from Athens with a 2-point win. Georgia is looking for the upset, while the number 1 Auburn Tigers look unstoppable. Tip-off at 3 on your home for college basketball.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Mostly sunny the remainder of the day with a wind coming out of the northeast around 9 miles per hour and 53. Tonight, look for a light wind and partly cloudy skies with a temperature near 41. Tomorrow, high around 60 and mostly sunshine with a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, quite warm with a high of 60 and some clouds. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Bendian's Best Moves is a local moving company in Panama City, providing reliable services to the families and businesses in our community. Coveted for the long list of services they provide, experts at what they do, and they do it all from start to finish. The pros at Bendian's Best Moves have moved doctors, attorneys, pastors, schools, small businesses, the federal government, and they can move you too. For the best moving experience, it's Bendian's Best Moves. Call now, 850-583-0814.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX New Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. You're in the doghouse for hour number 2. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick, Chef Ross, Morgan Hilliard, and the Bone Crusher. Want to remind you guys that ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the Coach James Hale Show in the morning, weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. And you can also keep the game going here with ESPN Northwest Florida because we're on your smart speaker for in-home listening. Just say, hey, Alexa, open up ESPN Northwest Florida. All right, Morgan, college football season is over. College baseball season is going on as I point to the TV, and it's Paul Feinbaum. But you do have the game on, so feel free to live react. What's the score right now? Texas A&M, who are they playing?
We're playing Cal Poly.
A bunch of nobodies. No, but
We're playing Cal Poly, and it's 1-0.
Cal Poly up.
It's A&M, actually.
Dang gummit, man.
We're
rooting for
Jace Lavalette is in a shiesty right now.
Oh, really? So it must be pretty cold over there.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. I think it's in like the 30s.
Woo. Which is, that's
pretty cold for a baseball game.
For a baseball
pretty
game?
cold for a baseball game.
I used to hate that, especially being a Floridian. Like, even down there in South Florida, in Tampa, St. Pete area, and when spring baseball would first be getting started around this time of the year, and we would have to get out there and start getting ready for baseball season, it'd just be, man, this is ridiculous. Give us a couple of weeks, coach, and then we'll get to it, man. This ain't making us no better. It's just hurting my dang hands.
Saw some soccer the other night. Messi was playing, and it was like freezing cold out there.
The goalie was like in a parka.
Yeah.
Soccer's a little bit, I don't know. Soccer just always seems to, what's that?
Cross country with a ball.
No,
AG.
I'm not going to sit there and say what AG says at all. But I'm saying you're constantly moving. Like, baseball's a sport where you're not constantly moving. Yeah. You're constantly staying still. Then you have this article in your hand, the baseball bat, when you hit the ball in the cold weather.
And when you're in college, it's a metal aluminum bat as opposed to the wood bat, which the wood's going to be warmer than the aluminum.
Well, both of them. With wood, you have a higher tendency to not hit the ball in the sweet spot and therefore cause vibrations throughout the bat and therefore get that ringing in your hands, just a little bit more the sweet spot on an aluminum bat. I don't even want to know what the sweet spot is like on an aluminum bat these days. I don't even know what core they're at now. A few years ago, it was BB core. Then I think they outlawed that and went to some different core. But bats are always upgrading, and so are the prices. I feel bad for I remember when I was like begging my parents for a $20 bat from Walmart, when I was a kid, and nowadays it's like $2.99 to even.
That's why you need some Play It Again sports stores,
dude. Exactly, and we used to have one right over there off of 23rd Street.
There's
but
gotta
you
be
do
a
have
market for it.
We do have Omega Sports though, which is I
have
believe,
used, right?
Yeah, they do have used stuff some of the times. I think that's really your only option. Now, I'll say this too about Golf Plus. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get a baseball bat from there, but with Golf Plus, they do have used clubs for a very, very good deal. I mean, man, if you're a golfer and you haven't been to Golf Plus yet, you're absolutely missing out. But so we talked a little bit about Texas A&M, and again, feel free to live react. But what do you think about Texas, USC, and Nebraska not having spring games? Coach Sark said this is kind of the as a coach, you've got to start adapting with the way that college football is moving, and they have better ways to utilize their finances, is what he said. And I'm like, isn't spring games, I mean, yes, you want to see your team, but isn't that more for the fans than it is anything?
Not only is it for the fans, because most of those are like exhibition matches. Sorry, stutter. Anyways, and I don't even know if they bring in a whole lot of income off of that. And plus, it's usually just the players on players as well. So, I mean, you're really not doing anything but getting your guys in the mentality of what it's like to play under the lights, essentially. I don't know what you guys said because I was sitting in the other room waiting for the break, and I couldn't hear. Have we considered that?
So you were saying that you were watching Texas A&M over the Afternoon Underdogs? Is that what you're saying?
Aggies on top all day, every day. I don't know what you expected from me. That's my team.
Kick her out of here.
I walked out of work with it already like queued up, ready to go. I was like, yeah, I'm not listening anymore. We're about to throw our first pitch. My Pookie's on the mound, by the way.
Oh, Prager.
He's not having a very good start today.
Let's go, Cal Poly.
Anyways, have we considered that maybe some of their team aspects, and maybe more specifically, without saying any names, some players just aren't ready for the caliber that they're being asked of?
That's possible. I mean, I would say play the game, see what you got in some players before you actually get to the start of like college football season at the end of the summer. That way you can evaluate some of the talent, see if you got to make any changes or make any moves before then. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Well, specifically speaking to, I'm sorry, Chef Ross, go ahead.
The big reason now is you're doing this behind closed doors. The spring day practice is an open door. All media gets to see everything, all the nitty-gritty of all your teams. Now you can close the doors, keep it a surprise for that first game in the fall.
Which, I mean, it's not like they're unloading the playbook right there either, but I think that the biggest thing is after the spring game, there's still an opportunity for transfers to transfer out and transfer in and all of that. But it's
not really that much. I mean, you've already done majority of it besides some of that smaller inner recruiting
and you're
in that window.
Right, and you're going to know better. All right, these are the holes that we desperately need to fill. These are ones that we could get better in, and these are the ones that we're already solid in, so we don't really need anyone else coming in and kind of messing up that cohesion or chemistry right there. And again, it's so much about the fans. Like the A-Day game is huge for the fans. They're packing in 100,000 people in for an exhibition game, for a practice game. I'm not a huge fan of this because it's another one of those steps that says, and I can't blame a business for doing this, but we care more about the money than what we do our fans. And college football is at a rapid rate right now, pushing people away from the game, and it's not necessarily the sport as a whole's fault. It's not being able to wrap their head around the rules and regulations of the transfer portal. It's NIL kind of running rampant. And I think for like the large, for our demographic, right, it's not that big of a deal because it's, kind of weird getting used to it, and we'll continue to get used to it. But, for people, let's say 55 and above or so, they're
it's the same demographic that baseball pushed out 5 years ago.
Right.
I feel like if you're going to call off a game, which, doesn't matter, but essentially does matter depending on who you're trying to pan to and who you're trying to get the attention of, if you're calling it off, there has to be something within your system that just isn't working as well as it should be oiled. It has to be something that you're still working out mechanic-wise to not even set a date, and then even a step further, come back and say, we're not going to do this at all because of whatever reason, but the real reason being the well-oiled machine is not well-oiled at the moment. And we can know what to expect from Arch anyways in this specific scenario. We know that he has run game. He was utilized a lot on red zone scenarios, and to get into the red zone, we know he can use his legs, but we haven't seen him throw too much. We've seen him throw like maybe a handful of dimes, and that's about it. So there's something that's playing in that background that's not happening.
Yeah. I would say sports as a whole is like running away from the fans in a grand scheme of things. It's going more corporate. Look at all these big events. It's like starting to get outpriced where like, unless you like, you have like, jobs where you making gobs and gobs of money, you can't even afford to go to some of these events and some of these games. Yeah. I think slowly but surely it's going that route to where regular season games and stuff are going to be that way. And it's going to be the corporate sponsorships. And if you're affiliated with those groups, that's how you're going to be able to get in. And those types of stuff, it's not about the fans. It's about the money again.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be in there if you are a fan, and hopefully because you have that access and you have that availability that you're going to be able to get in. And without that, you're just going to be watching on the tube.
Well, it's an absolute slippery slope, though, because why do the advertisers pay the buku of dollars that they pay for to these leagues to be able to advertise, or to these networks to be able to advertise with them, so that they put their product in front of the eyes of the people who are are viewing the game, because that's what they're really there to watch. And then on the side of that, they watch the commercial. But the longer you make these daggum commercial breaks, the more apt we are. Like, if you've got a 4-minute commercial break, I'm going to see the first commercial and I'm going to see the last commercial.
Yeah, because I'm using mine to go to the bathroom, get a snack, something like that.
Check out the other game.
Yeah.
So, and that's what another thing that I don't understand is, why not make your commercial break shorter? Right? Like, don't add a whole bunch more of them, but charge more for the ads. And then here's the other thing, is they're charging, so they make money off the advertisers, but then they also make money off of us as well, be it through revenue from going to the games at the stadium, be it from buying memorabilia and whatnot from the websites, be it just having to purchase the right to watch the games. I mean, they're making their money on both sides, and the people who are actually, if the fans aren't watching it, then where does it go from there?
Do some stuff like NASCAR and soccer do while the actual live events going to do the side by side. Do your commercials sometimes like there. You can decide to look at the commercial if you want to and see what's going on, or you can just decide to keep your eye on the game or the action that's going on the racetrack or what have you. Give people that option. I don't see why they're not doing that. It's games like soccer. They don't go to commercial breaks. They just play the game, and it works out for them. And that's the largest sport in the world. More people watch soccer than anything else, so they got to be doing something right.
I'll say that's one thing I do like about soccer is the fact that from 1 minute or from when they kick that ball off to get it going till the 47th or 45th minute, but then the
whatever extra time ends.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I do like about soccer on the rare instances that I sit there and watch it.
I will say that this past football season, I feel like we had more commercial breaks than I have seen in a while. We had so many commercial breaks. I mean, they'd literally play like maybe 2 sets of downs, and it's another commercial.
A lot of reviews, too.
They'd come back from media timeout and immediately go to another commercial. I mean, we just had a media timeout, and sometimes they're not reviewing anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes there really isn't anything significant happening. What is happening on their end that they're having to push so much anyways if they are making that type of revenue?
Yeah, I mean, if they're making the amount of money that they're talking about, what they're making and what the leagues are making from this, it just doesn't.
Or make them more expensive to where like you have less of them, but the ones that you are doing, you're making more money off of, because we see all these companies that are buying these spots. They're already Fortune 500 companies. They're already making billions of dollars. So you know what? Just have them pay for it.
At the end of the day, I think it really comes down to one factor and one factor only: absolute greed. Just like people taking regular everyday hobbies that should be a fun pastime and just making, now I've got this new small business, and now they're trying to push it down everyone's throats. At the end of the day, it still becomes greed.
I will say that, football has become the hardest one to kind of gauge when you're going to get the commercials. With hockey, it's underneath 15, underneath 10, underneath 5. Maybe if you have an injury or some sort of, like if the glass breaks, you know when your timeouts are coming or when your commercials are coming. And then also you'll have the intermission, the 17-minute intermission. With baseball, you know that your pitcher change, into the innings or in between innings, and then outside of that, you're really not getting a lot of commercial breaks. When it comes to basketball, Lord knows, just
especially the final couple minutes.
Yeah, that one's all over the place.
I couldn't stand that when I was a kid, man, waiting for a basketball game to get off because my pop-up was watching a game, and I was looking to watch something after the fact, and it was always that last 2, 3, 4 minutes. I was like, it's like half an hour to play like 3 minutes. What are we doing?
Do you guys?
It's like, go ahead.
Do you guys gauge things in like sports minutes? Sometimes people will ask me, they'll be like, well, when are you going to be here? And I'll be like, 15 football minutes. No. That could mean like an hour.
Especially, are you talking first quarter? Are we talking NFL 15 minutes? College football 15 minutes?
Right.
Those are totally different. And that's the other thing that I kind of wanted to back up to with what you were saying with college football and the most amount of commercials that you've ever seen. Mm-hmm. They said the reason why that they were adding in the 2 minute, what are they calling it? 2 minute timeout. The reason why the clock's not going to stop in the first quarter over first downs and things of that nature is so that they can get the games going faster and take time, make it more about the game would move faster. And that's not been the case at all. The games still last just as long, if not longer. And that's ridiculous, especially for collegiate sports. I know that they're money makers, but find a way to have the happy medium of keeping your advertisers happy while at the same time keeping your consumer happy. Because once you lose a consumer, then you lose the advertiser, then we lose the sport that we know and love. And that's going to be a very sad thing if it does end up happening, which I don't think that we're so close to it. I don't think that there's, one more pin or one more straw and then the whole cookie's going to crumble, which not a great analogy there, but you guys know exactly what it is.
How about the straw that broke the camel's back? There you go.
That'll work.
There you go.
That'll work.
There you go.
What do you got?
Though,
I think we're in a time too that these athletic companies are trying to younger their demographic because the same people they've been advertising to aren't going to be around as much longer as getting the younger TikTok generation involved. That is I need this now type thing. So a lot of them have already switched to I need 17 streaming services just so I can watch a full season of football.
But you don't need that when you have TV channel here from ESPN Northwest Florida. Lucid Streams. You don't need 17 streaming services because you have everything under one umbrella. You have all your sports, all your movies, all your series, 24/7 channels, So go to ESPNNorthwestFlorida.com, click the Lucid Stream banner, and there you go. $42 a month. You got everything you want, sports fans, and then some.
And then some, which all the local channels, really the possibilities are truly endless.
And I'm a
He's a subscriber.
Patron. I'm a subscriber, so, listen to us. We know.
Absolutely. All right. Play-in games. Y'all remember not too long ago, it was right after the season, Jim Phillips, who's the ACC commissioner, came out and said that they're going to be reworking the ACC title game and possibly have instead of having the number 1 seed play in it, to provide a safety blanket for them to get into the college football playoff. It would be 2 versus 3, or maybe they would play 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3. Well, the SEC and the Big Ten look like they're going to be trying to use that model as well. Now, they could continue to play a SEC and Big Ten championship where it would be 1 versus 2, but then you would also have 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5 playing on championship. It would be like a giant championship weekend in order for them to help their bids opportunity to get into the college football playoff.
1 versus 2 in the ACC is what got Clemson in.
What? Yeah, 100%. That's why I was kind of curious as to why the ACC would do something.
Otherwise,
like
ACC
that.
was a one bid conference.
A one-trick pony.
I just don't think that's fair to every conference where you might have someone who is of caliber who deserves to be there.
Go ahead, finish.
Sorry. But then you have the flip side of it, of these matchups that we got this past season of teams who absolutely didn't deserve to be there at all and got beat out right away, and it just kind of makes it boring. I mean, which side of the coin do you take in this scenario?
Well, it does look like we are headed to where it's not going to be automatic buys for the conference champions, for the top 4 highest ranked conference champions. It'll be the rankings that the college football playoff puts out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those would get your buy, and then you would have 5 versus 12 and so on and so forth, because Oregon really did. I mean, they get the bye, and none of the teams who got the bye moved on to the next round, to the quarterfinals at that point.
Buys lose games.
I 100% agree, right?
Texas was the closest.
Yes.
They were very close. And they didn't have the bye, though. Texas didn't have the bye.
Oh, yeah, Texas won that game. So
the Texas-Arizona State game.
Arizona State
ended up losing to Ohio State, and that's what you feel for with Oregon, who had such a great regular season, and then they've got to take on a team with a huge chip on their shoulder in Ohio State, who had a lot to prove, especially after the loss to Michigan, and Ohio State just did what they did pretty much in every game outside of maybe the Texas game, which is complete domination at that point. So it'll be interesting to see what the SEC and the Big Ten end up deciding with this this giant championship weekend. I don't think that anything will be happening anytime soon, but it does look like for this year's college football playoff that it's just going to be regular seeding going into the playoff, which I think is huge. Last year, my stance going into the playoff was, well, they made the rules what they made the rules, so it's not that big of a deal. But as the playoff continued to play on, it was it's not very conducive to win the number 1 seed, and buys in general, I don't like them in any sport, right? Like in the NFL, you go back to the year that the Tennessee Titans won the number 1 seed, and they sit there and they have an injured team winning the number 1 seed, then they get Derrick Henry back and they get some of their other weapons back, and they go to Cincinnati, or not go to, they host Cincinnati, sack Joe Burrow 9 times and still end up losing that game. So tough deal with the bye. For some teams, it works out well, I guess, but not a lot of the time. I mean,
I haven't
help the Detroit Lions this year, did it?
I think they got to mimic more like the NFL, because that's the way it's going. And,
Reseed.
And the way you do that is try to keep it the same or very similar. That way, too, the transition from college to NFL is a lot more streamlined, and it just makes a lot more sense, I think.
They need to lower that break, because I believe just the regular first-round play-in games were 3 weeks later from the end of the conference, or 4 weeks after the conference championship. So if you bring that down to a week, now the teams with a bye are only sitting 2 weeks, not 5 or 6, and that puts a lot of rust in those teams as well.
I just want y'all to know that my ace is freezing right now. I'm looking at him on the screen, and he just came off the mound, and he's in a jacket, and he's holding a towel to his face. He is freezing.
Are they pulling him?
No.
Why are you calling him your ace and not your Pookie?
He's both.
Okay.
Get it right. I hear both. He's either. He's whatever I'm referring to him right now.
All right, so right now he's your ace. When he's off the mound, he's your Pookie.
He's my Pookie.
All right, there you go. Ryan Prager is Morgan's Pookie. Oh, we also got to talk about the Yankees when we get back, and then we're going to have Morgan Photoshop beards and mustaches onto all the Yankees players, and she's going to judge them one by one. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
This is the first year that I've actually kind of felt old. When you're young, your parents say, "Oh, I know the rain's coming," or your grandparents, I can tell that the rain's coming because my bones are hurting.
Oh, yeah.
This morning at about like 4 o'clock, I woke up out of nowhere and I'm like, what is this feeling? Then in about an hour, all hell breaks loose and it's pouring cats and dogs out there.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday evening. As we head into tonight, some clouds and a low of 41 with a light wind coming out of the east-northeast at 7 miles per hour. For tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine and a temp near 54. In the afternoon and evening, mostly sunny and a high around 59. For Sunday, sprinkles and a high of 60. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Billburn Kia during the President's Day sale going on all month long. Are you looking for a fuel-efficient SUV that doesn't compromise on style, comfort, and performance? Stop in today at Billburn Kia and let our team put you behind the wheel of your new Kia. Billburn Kia is now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento. Billburn Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento with $1,748 per month per 1,000 financed in 60 months. Qualities limited, cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billburn Kia warranty. See dealer for complete detail. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 3/3/25.
Eat, sleep, game. This is your sports obsession. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. Get your mustaches ready for Morgan's Mustache Extravaganza with the New York Yankees. I'm just making stuff up as we go along. It's the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Your spot for select Orlando Magic games. And coverage starts tonight at the tip time for the Grizzlies and the Magic, 6 p.m. right here after the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Caveman Rick, Chef Ross, Morgan Hilliard, and the Bone Crusher. Morgan, you got some notes over there? What's been on your mind here in the sports world? Let's start with the Yankees.
Okay, perfect. So after 49 years, the Yankees have finally reversed their beard code, and specifically for the trade that they just made. But the reason that it went into play was a guy who was traded by the name of Oscar Gamble. And there's a baseball card out of him. AG, if you're listening, you'll love this. There's a rare baseball card out there of him where his photo was taken right as he joined the team. And he has a beard and the hair past the collar and, all those attributes that we look for. And it's I guess a pretty rare card because he still has those attributes before he cuts his hair and they make him shave. But,
nice.
After 50 years, do you really allow for things to change if this is the precedent you set? I actually have the statement from the Yankees general partner. I keep hitting this. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. From the
next time she does that, why don't you hit her with that? Because how are you going to get out of that chair without the cane? That's a wrestling move, so it's total. And the new WWE 2K25 intergender wrestling is going to be allowed. Back in the old games, a guy couldn't hit a girl, but a girl could hit a guy.
That's crazy.
That's like domestic violence approved, right?
I have the upswing on anybody, so I dare you to look at me. And don't approach me at the Blue Moon either. I'm not nice.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, you found out where Morgan's go-to is, so if you'd like to show off your mustache to her, just go check her out.
But don't approach me. I'm not a nice person.
Yeah, just stand back and just keep on, walking by and just stroking.
That doesn't work either. I'm going to wonder what you have up your nose.
How do we show off our mustache to? How do we get you to notice our mustache, Morgan?
Oh, there you go.
I think it just has to be a nice, prominent mustache, identifiable by a baseball scout. There you go.
The mustache has to do all the time.
It needs to be like a caterpillar on your upper lip.
Real. Also, there are other factors that contribute to this, but we're not going there. Anyways, maybe we just don't talk to me outside of here. Great.
All right, so next time if I ever see you out and about, walk right by you.
Next time we see you at the fights, we're not even going to say hi.
Yep.
I mean, last time you guys only talked to me because I had Alabama on my phone.
No,
that's the only reason.
No, it's not.
For sure.
That's not even how the whole entire
I'm not
thing
even an
started.
Alabama fan.
Yeah,
That's
Alabama was playing on my phone.
Right, but that's not what started the whole
You
conversation.
joined our gambling ring.
Yeah,
that's
but,
where it all
you
started.
leaned over and asked me what the score was, and if I would.
But we
tell
were
you.
talking before that because whenever Boston Tim had like shouted me out in the ring or whatever, and then you're like, "Oh, ESPN," and then that's when the whole thing started, kind of between our groups.
The bickering.
Yeah, exactly.
The bickering.
And you joined our gambling ring that night.
I'm sorry.
And
the
you're like, look
chirping.
at Chef Ross's goatee over there. That must, if you shaved out the rest of it, boy, that'd be something else. All right, continue on, Morgan. Sorry to embarrass you.
We got kind of sidetracked. Anyways, statement from Hal. In recent weeks, I have spoken to a large number of former and current Yankees spanning several eras, blah, 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 about their points of view, and we have decided to reverse this call to a well-groomed beard.
I got a question about this.
Okay, all right, here we go.
See what y'all's answers would be. Okay, so now, had the New York Yankees had continued their winning culture over the course of the last 20 years and been a perennial winner, winning the World Series and being there and being like relevant in that sense. Sorry, Yankee fans, if I'm throwing some shade. Do you think they make this change, or do you think they're making this change now because they're seeing that there's certain players that they haven't been able to get their hands on because of this rule, and it's been kind of stifling their opportunities to maybe win a World Series? So now Hal Steinbrenner's kind of going all in, if you will, to try to win, and he's thinking of new ways that he can like maybe revamp the squad or bring in new like blood to the team, and this is a way that he can do that.
So why do this after you've played in the World Series last season? Why not do it 2 or 3 years?
Because you haven't won.
Here's my counter.
But 2 or 3 years beforehand, you haven't been there in 7-8 years.
Also, you're in perfect position to object today as the judge. I just noticed this. Here's my counter. What is the parameter of the well-groomed beard? Are we talking just a beard? Are we including a mustache? What are we
beard
including?
Is everything.
Are we including like the entire facial ensemble?
I would say it can't look like mine. Like it can't look. It's got to be. They'll probably be like, it's not a full beard. Yeah, it's got to be a full beard.
Jalen Hurts with the attachments.
Yeah, well,
So
I mean, I would say that you could have them, but you could already.
Yeah, Yankees players have always been able to have a mustache.
Yeah, a mustache.
Yeah, Mattingly had a mustache back in the 80s.
Yeah, it's just got to be. It's got to be trimmed up, kept up.
Hair above the collar.
I'm just wondering what all that includes.
They did have that, yes.
How much length
I'm
is
saying I don't
allowed?
know if they've changed that aspect. I would imagine that one's still going to stick
According
around.
to Morgan, it's just the beard, and the hair's got to be above the collar.
Yeah.
Yes, it just says a well-groomed beard moving forward. That is all it says. And then it says it's the appropriate time to move beyond the familiar comfort of our former policy.
That's a gray area because
Well,
well-groomed is like, so if
that's
they
a
don't like
very
something, they're going to
Then
say,
they'll tell you
hey.
Yeah,
I remember
that's a very big gray area.
At some of the schools that I went to, like in my sophomore and no, not junior or senior year, but my sophomore year, it would be like, if you're like, some of the guys would have their beards grown out, and they would tell them like, you got to go shave, and they didn't.
Here's the thing. The Yankees have been this organization that have set themselves apart not only in performance but also just this one particular rule of being different. If you're going to run with the big dogs, you got to get off the porch, right? Essentially, you got to do things that push you out of your comfort zone. Okay.
Yeah, but they haven't been running with the big dogs lately.
Let me finish, please.
Gotcha.
Let me finish the thought. So if I'm the Yankees, why do I make this change after so many years? Because if I want to run with this organization and all that's holding me back is a beard and I can still have a mustache, is that really a contributing factor of where I could go?
Yes.
To me, it's not really that big of a deal.
This is a big deal because, like, somebody like myself, right? I like my beard, okay?
I think it's a bigger deal for us as fans and media than it is for the actual players.
I am very comfortable with my beard. If I got rid of it, I wouldn't like that. I don't like myself without it.
You've done it like, it was like, what, a year
I
ago?
did, yeah, but there's other reasons for that, okay? And it was a mistake. Let's put it that way, okay? On top of that, very big mistake.
Lesson learned.
So
I did not recognize him. You remember that Bull Crusher? Do you remember whenever he came in one day? It was like, whoa.
I was startled.
Yeah,
So,
startled is
get
a
him.
great. Yeah.
I don't like myself without the beard, right? So if I had to go and I had to work or I had to do something and I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin, you don't think that's not going to mess with my psyche? So being a ball player, if you're not comfortable because now you have to have a haircut, you can't have the facial hair that you normally like to have, and now you have to make that change, it's going to take some time to get used to, and some people, frankly, might not be able to get that accustomed to it. So if you're going out there, and you know how athletes can be very superstitious about
baseball
stuff.
being the biggest one as well.
So, like, if you're going out there and you're already having issues up in your head, if you will, about stuff, don't you think that would lend itself to having, like, the yips or getting into other instances where, like, you know, you're, gripping too hard on the bat, you know, like when players don't, have any hits and they're in a slump, it's hard to get out of that sometimes. I just think, it's part of, if it's part of who you are, and it makes you feel comfortable, that might be something that might be difficult to do. So, if you want to get those players, if you want to get guys that will come in and play their game the way they're used to playing, man, get rid of the uptightness, man, and then just go with the flow, man. The Yankees did it for a long time. It's 2025 now. I mean, seriously.
Well, one of the things that he cited in his presser about this was nowadays people 20, 30, 40 years old, everyone has a beard of some sort, or we're not counting a mustache, beard, goatee, some sort of facial hair, and so it's kind of impossible to ask guys not to do, or not impossible, that's not the right word. It's outrageous to some extent.
That's like saying no ink. You know what I mean? In this day and age, everybody's got ink pretty much. I mean, I'm clean. I don't have any. I come from a different generation.
Chef Ross, how many tattoos you got?
0.
But like
Bone Crusher, how many tattoos you got?
I have virgin skin, but I've been thinking about
10.
getting tattooed.
10. I got 3. So
and Morgan does. So I'm saying this younger crowd. This is the norm.
How wild is that though? That the tattooed people are the minority.
Hold on.
How many piercings do you have?
Not going there. Anyways.
Easy.
I answered that question, LSU Jeff.
Whoa.
What? But when I come on the show, and just like in my professional life, when I'm in the law world or any profession I choose to be in one day, all of my tattoos are very easily hideable. I mean, have you guys ever noticed that I have tattoos? You would never be able to tell unless you catch me on the beach or the island or something like that.
I've noticed here.
Have you noticed?
Have you noticed?
I have.
Where's the tattoo that you noticed?
We'll discuss later. on your back.
Oh, yeah, in certain shirts
and
I wear.
I'm like back here behind the glass.
Judging
my
everything.
view,
So
my point of view, so it's easy,
Can we get some of those on camera?
Well, there's a camera right there behind her, but with that shirt, it's not going to work. Anyways, Morgan, sorry to...
put you on the spot. You asked the question, so hey, here's the answer.
Over or unders?
Tattoos, piercings?
No. Oh yeah. Wait. We're going back to the piercings.
I'm being facetious.
We're leaving that one alone. Your jersey is phenomenal. Explain to the radio listeners right now what jersey you're wearing and what number it is and why it's that number.
I am wearing a baseball jersey that depicts Barbie. Fun fact, I picked this up in spirit of Halloween last Halloween because I was shopping for my Halloween costume and I went as Barbie and I saw this and I was like, favorite sport, my favorite thing to imitate essentially because I am Barbie on the show. We're wearing the Barbie jersey. It's got 59 on it because Barbie was...
established.
She was 59 years old when she was made into a doll.
Yeah.
She was born all adult size.
No, actually, fact checked me on the year here. But Barbie was released in World War II as a sentiment to young ladies and women to kind of keep their mind off the war and other things like that.
It can't be true because well, okay, before Mattel started mainstreaming it.
Yes.
March 9th, 1959 is when Mattel started
that's the current incarnation, I guess.
Yes,
so
that's when she goes mainstream and when she goes big and she essentially goes viral.
It's like G.I. Joe. I played with the G.I. Joe action figures in the 80s with the articulated bodies, but originally G.I. Joe was a full-size action figure that came out that was a foot tall or whatever. And I'm sure if who was it? Hasbro, I think, that made G.I. Joe. Anyways, that would probably reflect. They would probably have the same year, like when the original G.I. Joe smaller action figure
I think
came
that was
out.
when I think 59 is when they really nailed down her style, because she's completely based off of the pinup girls that they would paint on the side of the planes.
Right.
That's what she originates from, is the pinup girls, and then geared at young ladies to keep you busy while your father is away fighting. So I think this is how it all comes full circle,
And she was
essentially.
made of plastic because all the metal and stuff was going to the war effort, making ammunition, tanks, planes, guns.
Correct. But I think that's when they finally materialize what Barbie really is. Because if you ask someone what they think Barbie is, they'll tell you her exact dimension. She's 6'2", she's skinny, she has assets.
I don't know her exact dimensions. I don't care. It's a doll.
Yeah, wait, hold on. You said anyone will tell you
You guys are men.
Any girl, maybe.
Any girl is going to tell you. My bad. I'm
6'2"?
sorry I appealed to the entire demographic.
No, you do.
So she can't go out with a lot of dudes being 6'2", huh? Because they're all going to be too short.
without heels?
I don't know. That doesn't stop her, though. I mean,
Nah,
she can do
doesn't.
whatever she wants. She's a judge. She's a pilot. She's whatever she wants
Wow.
to be. She's whatever she wants to be.
Shit, talk about the American dream.
Barbie can be anything she wants.
Looks like the first original Barbie doll was brunette and blonde. So
They still
Two-tone?
have-
Wow,
they still have
man.
variations, though.
I'm just being smart.
You know, you have Malibu Barbie, some
I
of
bet
her
the redhead
variations.
girls really felt left out.
They
back
did.
in 1959.
I bet. Great mustache on my screen, by the way.
Who is that?
I don't know. Number 4 for Cal Poly.
Number 4 for Cal Poly, which is why we're switching our vote from Texas A&M to Cal Poly right here live on the Afternoon Underdogs. All right, over under 17 and a half Yankee players who grow a beard throughout the season.
Under.
You say under?
Under.
So you think that they stay with the status quo?
Yeah, I think they run with that thing they originally built off of.
I don't think that. I just think there's like less people that are going to have that. Like, because I think there's not that 17 or more players that decided to sign with the Yankees and got rid of their hair and mustache to go there. So because of that, these players are already comfortable in their own skin. Now you're going to have a handful of them that are going to say, well, hey, since I can do this now and it's not a problem, I'm probably going to give it a try or see. What would be interesting is they make the playoffs and do like NHL players do and don't shave until they lose and just keep it going in the playoffs.
So in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, so they get bounced out.
I'm gonna go over. I think like closer to what's the full roster size baseball? 25.
40 man's the full roster.
40 man full roster, but active
26 is
26.
on the big league.
Okay, so you're talking the whole season or just right off the cuff?
Well, let's go.
By the time
Let's
the
go
season's
first
over.
month. First month of season, because maybe some of the guys it takes them a while to
Okay,
grow their
I'll
facial
under,
hair.
and I even put cash on that.
All right. Okay.
Mic drop over
Let's
here.
do a hat. Let's do a hat.
Let's do a hat.
All right. I
Right.
don't want to shake.
I'm
your
watching
hand.
a shake
bump.
right
Fist
now.
bump.
I'm watching.
Boom.
I am a witness to this. This is going to hold up
Okay.
in court
What are you,
later
a notary
on.
or something?
No,
Actually, yeah.
Are
Do
you a
you need
notary?
documents?
Hey,
I really am a notary.
It'll hold up because I know I'm a man of my
Write
word
us a
and have
contract.
integrity. I know Dave's a man of integrity. He keeps his word, and I guarantee you it'll get done.
A man is only as strong as his word, and you have my word. Hayden Schott
Your word,
mentioned.
no. You forgot one thing. Your word and your name. If your name and your word are no
There's
good,
something else
you're no
too.
good.
Yeah.
There's
No,
something else too.
this
We
is
just can't mention
This is a
it.
direct quote from when Schloss left us last year. Hayden Schott had tweeted this out, and that's what I was quoting. There is a full quote, but that's what I got from him. And I actually have that screenshot.
Well, that's just how I feel, and that's the way I've looked at stuff for quite a long time. Men or women. If your name and your word are no good, I don't want nothing to do with you.
I'm quoting Tony Montana, dadgummit, from Scarface.
How long are these
Little
guys?
friend.
How long are these guys allowed to have 5 o'clock shadow while they're starting to grow their beard in?
5 o'clock shadows still
It's not-
tight.
You do whatever you
technically.
want. I mean, you can have up to the beard as long as it's groomed, right? So I mean, like,
I've worked for a few corporations that allow facial hair. That you either clean shaved or you have facial hair, but you can't.
But
No.
you can't grow it out to get to there. So
No, you
good
can't.
luck, buddy. You better
It's-
get it on the weekend or don't have it at all.
It's
Did we say
take-
17 and a half? by the way?
17 and a
Okay,
half.
sorry,
I'm
Chef
going
Ross.
over. He's going under.
It's take your PTO or use the extended weekend.
You gotta take PTO. It's build a beard here. Oh,
if
my
you got to do
goodness.
all that, then why even bother? You know what I mean? At that point in time, like quit being so uptight. Corporations, businesses, whatever.
Can we just listen? When are you going to be running for president? You're already 35 years old, so you can make this happen.
I'll do it. I actually had some friends.
Let's start locally.
Check this out, man.
All right.
I've actually had some friends of mine that told me that they would actually vote for me for something like that because they know I'm convicted in what I believe in and I can't be bought, and I'm not a sellout. So there you go.
Well, there you go. So Caveman Rick, why don't we just start here locally, Panama City government. Maybe, try to get into like one of the commissioners. What do you think the best route would be here to get Caveman Rick into politics?
Start off something small like city comptroller and work your way up.
There you go.
Mosquito commissioner.
Hey, mosquito commissioner.
I don't know.
I'll be your vice president in that thing, or your vice seat. I don't know what you call that, but we'll get rid of
your
all
agreement.
right, we'll sign this here in the break. We'll leave off with a comment from Rob Johnson. He says, I've hated the Yankees for years. However, I remember when I think it was Johnny Damon, as he's talking.
Gavin! Are you kidding?
And that was the live reaction we've been waiting for. So, Gavin, what's a Hasselgar or something like that? Grahovic, whatever. I got all the letters there.
Gavin Grahovic just went yard to Aggie Alley.
Depends on your vernacular.
So 2-0 now?
It is now 2-0, yes.
All right, there you go. Back to Rob's text here. Hey, that's okay. We expected the live reactions there from Morgan. Johnny Damon, though, he says, whatever that dude's name was, he didn't have to get a haircut to play for the team. They ended up winning the World Series. I say that to say this. Yankees are terrible now. So, yes, they need to adjust their policies in order to get those better players. But didn't Johnny Damon have to cut his hair?
Yeah.
And
Johnny
his beard.
Damon
had to
came
cut his
from
hair.
the Sox to the Yanks, and he had to get rid of the hair and the beard to trade her and go to the Yankees.
Yeah, he had
Same
to.
with Randy Johnson. Had to get rid of the beard and the hair.
Yeah, so it's always been a commonplace. According to Hal Steinbrenner, though, he said that there's no known instances, which he's not even been there, long enough. Like,
it's been there his whole life.
Well, facts, fair, but how long has he been, like, in the negotiating table? He says that he doesn't know of any situations where, or actual instances, rather, of players refusing to join the Yankees due to their facial hair policy. But he did mention that Brian Cashman said CC Sabathia hesitated to sign with the Yankees as a free agent back in 2008 because he wanted to keep his facial hair, but lo and behold,
usually the money will sway you.
Hey,
yeah.
You got the rest of your life to
grow
facial hair.
Real quick.
Hold on, we don't got real quick.
I would say, my idiot parents back when I was wanting to get a brand new
lovey-dovey.
Hey,
this is our mosquito guy, y'all.
Right on. Hey, I'm speaking the truth, man. I wanted to get a new vehicle. I wanted to buy a truck, and I had the formidable mullet back in the day when I moved back down here or
what
moved
do you call
down
that
here.
Thing that you got now?
This ain't no mullet. It's all the same length, yo.
Okay.
So anyway, had the haircut, and they wouldn't co-sign unless I chopped off the lettuce.
Wait.
Hold on.
So I did.
Hold on. Pause. She asked you to pause.
The lettuce?
Yeah, you never heard it called the lettuce?
No.
Okay, well, it's hockey term and stuff like that too. They call it the lettuce.
Must be a Yankee term because I've heard of it.
Yeah. So anyways, I had to cut off the lettuce so I could get the deal done and get the co-signing because I was like, hey.
So you're saying you're properly swayed for money?
Well, I did that for my truck.
Perfect politician, and instead of kissing babies, he kicks them.
I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth right now, okay? All right? I'm giving facts, okay?
So he will let you know when he's been compromised.
I did this because you know what? It grew right back, right? So I grew it right back, and I just as a middle finger to my parents, I grew it right back and did it the same, if not longer, because, hey, you made me do this to get what I wanted. Now you're going to not get what you want.
Hey, there you go. Well, we're going to give you what you want, which is one more segment of the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Right back after I sign a contract.
Your home for college basketball. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Tomorrow, the 24-2 Auburn Tigers welcome the 16-10 Georgia Bulldogs to the jungle. When the Dogs and the Tigers played last, Auburn escaped from Athens with a 2-point win. Georgia is looking for the upset, while the #1 Auburn Tigers look unstoppable. Tip-off at 3 on your home for college basketball.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday evening. As we head into tonight, some clouds and a low of 41 with a light wind coming out of the east-northeast at 7 miles per hour. For tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine and a temp near 54. In the afternoon and evening, mostly sunny and a high around 59. For Sunday, sprinkles and a high of 60. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Do you want to eat like a local? The Local 115 is now open. Local drinks, local sports, and local food. Delicious oysters, crab cakes, steamed seafood, gumbos, salads, paninis, wings, wine, and cold beer. Nothing fried. That's right. No fried foods at Local 115. Amazing local food with an exciting local sports and mural theme. Eat like a local at the Local 115. 115 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
God, guns, and wrestling. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is the final segment here of the Afternoon Underdogs. We've got the Grizzlies and the Magic coming up next on your spot for Selector Magic Games, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Tomorrow, a big game between Georgia and Auburn, coverage starting at 2:30 for a 3 p.m. tip. And also, Chef Ross, who's in the building with us, is going to tell you guys about the Spring Fling. Go ahead, brother.
The Women's Civic Club of PCB presents the Spring Fling Juried Arts and Crafts Show, Saturday, March 8th, 2025, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Frank Brown Park Recreation Center. Cafe will be open throughout the show hours. Donations only, $1 for adults.
$1?
A whole buck?
That is amazing. Just one George Washington.
So that means
or four,
LeBron can't get in because he can't give you 4 quarters.
He might give you the whole dollar.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, you
Don't
can
ask
use
for change, though.
4 George Washingtons or 1, just depending on the type of George GW. Oh, man, I had a question on here that we never got to, which is Kyle Hamilton, the safety for the Ravens. He asked, not trying to be political on Twitter. He said, not trying to be political, but if all 45 presidents were in a Royal Rumble, who would win? So I was going to ask us that today, but maybe we'll find...
The answer is Abraham Lincoln, because he was a great wrestler.
That's where I was going to go, but I wanted to... Hold on. Let's pause, and we'll get back to that. We've got very important business. A contract has been signed here in the studio, and Madam Barbie, our notable notary, is going to hit the stamp with us live on the air so that this is officially official.
I'm about to officiate a document.
No, officialize. Please use non-professional words around us.
I'm so sorry. My bad. Just came from the law office. My bad. I am going to officialize this piece of paper that says if that there's any point in the New York Yankees season that there are over 7.5 players with the well-groomed demographic, a hat must be exchanged as payment. If there is under throughout the entire season, you owe Rick a hat.
I thought we did 1 month, but anyway, I thought it was 1 month. But we signed it.
You signed it without reading it.
Yeah,
I know. My bad.
Always.
Step away.
Kids, if you're listening, always read a contract.
Me and him more than likely will just keep it kind of between.
Hey, we signed it. I'll do that.
I like the element of, yes, I like that. We're going to hang that up here. We've got our, we were going to do a wheel generator. I've been trying to do this for the whole entire week, a wheel generator based baseball team where we would, spin the wheel. If it landed on the Brewers, you would pick your catcher from the Brewers, whatever, blah, blah, going, off-season tactics here with the Afternoon Underdogs. But hey, let's get into our 45 presidents. This is a show where we do not get political at all. But right now, we're not trying to be political. Like Kyle Hamilton said, if there was a Royal Rumble between all 45 of the presidents, and they come out in the order that they were selected to, or that, that they were brought into office. So
sequential
George Washington, boom, there you go. George Washington, B1, John Adams, 2, Thomas Roosevelt,
No, Jefferson is what
Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson 3. You know, I'm not going through the whole list, boy. It'll get me back to singing that song back in elementary school. So which president do you think? I mean, George Washington could have just bit them all with his wooden dentures.
Yeah, he got his teeth knocked out, right? That's why he's got the wooden teeth. So for me, I think I'd pick Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah,
he always said, "Speak softly but carry a big stick." Right? And he was like kind of a sizable kind of a guy. Did a lot of stuff like going out safari, been in jungles. Did all, fought like down in Cuba with the Rough Riders, I believe. So man, right? Hardcore type dude. So I would say him. Maybe honorable mention Gerald Ford. Dude played football, so maybe pretty tough. Maybe he can kick some ass.
All right. Well, there you go. Bone Crusher, we'll go with you next. Give everyone a little opportunity here to kind of think about it.
Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, a very skilled
vampire killer?
He wrestled a lot. I think he had like one loss, so he was a very skilled wrestler.
Quick thing about that, too. You ever see the movie Fight Club? Brad Pitt and Edward Norton were talking about who they would fight, like famous type people. And one of them said Abraham Lincoln.
Way to break the first rule.
Tall and lanky type dudes,
12 years, one loss.
12 years, one loss for old Honest Abe? Oh, man, what a Hall of Famer he was.
300 matches.
Way to break the first rule.
He's in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Recognized by the National Wrestling Hall of Fame for his accomplishments in the sport. So that's pretty interesting. What do you got?
So there's only been
Chef Ross,
one president that's ever been in the squared circle.
Oh, no.
But no, I'm not going with him.
Okay.
I'm going with Andrew Jackson, who won the fight.
There you go. Hey, that's $20, Mr. $20 bill himself. There you go. I saw on Twitter one of the people said they would go with Gerald Ford because he invented the Ford, which obviously inaccurate. And then he also said and his second pick would be Benjamin Franklin because he's on the $100 bill, also inaccurate. So what do you got, Morgan? Who would be your president? Who would lead you into battle?
Are we picking them at 35 or like when they get...
You're just there, outlast everyone.
When they get elected?
Yeah.
Because most of them are like 67 years old.
Are we thinking 35 or old? I feel like this is a valid question.
George Washington's dead, so I don't want to go with him. I don't think he'll last
if they're all like 35
they're in their peak.
years.
They're in their peak.
I'm going to be really honest. I don't even know the president.
All right. Hey, we'll just pick one that you know.
Idea.
We have two of them now that have multiple entries into this Royal Rumble.
Well, they only get one entry. Only one entry. But you can pick whoever you want.
I have no idea.
I mean, Joe Biden wouldn't be a bad pick.
I was thinking like perseverance-wise and just talks the talk. Donald Trump would be really fun, but he's also really new. I know.
There's no more new than the current president.
I don't really know all of the presidents. I know who I'm not picking is the Bushes.
You're not picking the Bushes. What is it? Speak softly and carry a big stick. That was from
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, Teddy
That's
Roosevelt.
one of the reasons.
And he unleashed a lot of havoc. I mean, he really did it. He had multiple warships just cruise around every ocean, just saying, "Hey, we're here. What's up, girl? I feel cute. Might take a selfie."
All right. Well,
maybe one of the fat guys like Taft.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, William Howard Taft, as a Yale student, was a standout wrestler and also an intramural heavyweight champion known for his preference for the collar and elbow style. So, interestingly enough,
little
that's not
thug
a bad pick.
action.
So, I think Obama was absolutely athletic, right? So, there's that. But one of my favorite wrestlers growing up was Rey Mysterio. So, I'm going to go with the shortest president of all time, coming in standing at 5 feet 4 inches. James Madison. I'm going to go with James Madison as my Royal Rumble entrant.
Good luck.
Okay. Wow.
Hey, sometimes
he'll hide underneath the ring until the last moment, and then he'll slip out and then do something dirty and win.
Yeah,
well, it's crazy.
What is it? Number 23's got the most Royal Rumble wins.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll just go with the 23rd president. I don't know who that is.
Kyle Wright, help me out with this. Which entrance has the most wins of Royal Rumble?
23rd president was Benjamin Harrison from 1889 to 1893, elected after conducting one of the first front porch campaigns by delivering short speeches to delegations that visited him in Indianapolis.
Another good pick would be any of the guys that had military service that, fought in wars and stuff, and, stuff like the Civil War,
yeah, those are some of the most demented people on the planet. A military man, that's a demented person.
Well, yeah, military people, sorry, because we got a lot of people out there, but...
Sorry, I apologize. I'm talking about the toxic ones.
Get programmed.
We appreciate the service and the sacrifice that you have made for our country.
I lived on bases. I was a military brat. I have absolutely all kinds of respect for the military.
I'm so sorry if I just offended some people. I'm talking about a certain demographic.
It's
but
radio.
You know what?
People
it's
are going to
radio.
get
I would like to point out my jersey right now.
Listen,
I'm wearing red, white, and blue. I promise.
I just want you to know that I'm also one of the dumbest people and also demented, so I apologize.
Harry Truman dropped the atomic bomb, so I wouldn't want to mess with him.
There you go. That's
on hundreds of thousands of civilians. So,
Oh, Morgan joining us on Fridays is going to be a absolute hoot, because this is what happens when football season goes away. We talk about the pertinent things, and then we just kind of dive off.
Goes off the rails, baby.
It goes off the rails a lot. What do we want to wrap the show? Hey, if you could play catch with one former player in Major League Baseball or college baseball, because you got a lot of Aggies, pros and current. I'm sure that we know who you're going to be picking, Pookie. But if you could play catch with one former player.
Pookie's not former, though.
Facts, but we're going to, just because that would make her life, probably, if she was able to play catch with Pookie.
If I even smelled the same air Ryan Brigger was in, I'd be all right.
I mean, isn't technically, if we're all breathing the same, it's still all the same air,
It's all
right?
in the same atmosphere on the same planet.
That
all
would be
gets
enough.
mixed.
That's what
it's
I'm
like
saying.
all the oceans. They're all the same. It's one
Your
ocean.
life's been made.
Yeah, my life would be made if
It's
I was
already
if we were in
made.
she
the
said
same
she could
room.
smell the air that he was.
Oh.
I think that's.
Air
So
has
you
a
need
scent.
to Yeah.
You could smell the man.
I mean, right? Febreze does have fresh air. Oh, okay. My fresh air is kind of like old school's fresh air back in the day. A little bit of tobacco smoke up in the air. But if you could play a catch with one former player, who would you choose? We've got about 2 minutes and some change left here. So
Give me a second. Let me think for a minute.
Okay.
Bob Uecker.
Oh, Bob Uecker just passed away.
He did.
Brewers are going to be memorializing him on the field throughout the spring training and more than likely the season in some way. Bone Crusher, what about you?
Dale Murphy.
Oh, dude, I reached out to him trying to get him on the show. We'll see if anything comes from it. Probably not, but that would be really awesome. Morgan?
Who's the guy that punched someone while in Toronto when they were playing?
Rougned Odor?
Yeah,
Odor.
Rougned
Yes.
Odor, yeah.
Yes, that's who I'm picking.
All right. For me, oh man, John Rocker is gonna, and that's not my answer, but he's gonna be taking on Patrick Mahomes Sr. in a rough and rowdy barstool boxing event, April 18th. Yes, we'll talk more about that.
I hope this is a dry event.
Patrick Mahomes Sr., he's got the three-peat.
Yeah, I hope this is a dry event.
And DUIs.
Let's see. I would go between Greg Maddux, I think.
Yeah.
Greg Maddux would be a fun one just to have the conversation.
Okay, so here's mine. All right, either like a shoeless Joe Jackson or like a Willie Mays or somebody like that, or Jackie Robinson, somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Jackie Robinson might be the best
Some
answer to that.
historical type
Well,
player
really,
like
all
that,
three of
you
those
know?
guys, especially when you go with Willie Mays and you go, I mean, just like talking about the
None of
era
those guys played
of
for the
baseball.
Phillies.
Right. Well,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
but
like
it's more about the
that'd be
history of
like that's
baseball.
an easy answer, man. I could have gone Schmidt or like Rose or like Bryce Harper, but I mean that's like thoughtless. I'll put more thought.
I've
into
always
it.
wanted to spend 20 minutes with Bob
God
Uecker
forbid
to
you
listen
be
to his
thoughtless.
stories.
Yeah, that would be a really good one as well. I think all your answers were really good, and you want to play catch with some fighters. You like to see them kiss.
I like to see him kiss, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you're meeting anyone of that caliber, they're going to have great stories. On my 22nd birthday, I was in Houston, and I just ended up being approached by 3 guys who had just come from a Hall of Fame event, NFL. So, I mean, you can meet anyone anywhere. You never know.
That is true. We've got to go. You guys have been riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Grizzlies and the Magic coming up next. Thank you guys so much for spending your week with us. Just remember, Jesus loves you. So do I. Y'all buckle up, be safe, and we'll see you Monday at 4 p.m.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
This is the first year that I've actually kind of felt old. When you're young, your parents say, oh, I know the rain's coming, or your grandparents, I can tell that the rain's coming because my bones are hurting.
Oh, yeah.
This morning at about like 4 o'clock, I woke up out of nowhere and I'm like, what is this feeling? And then in about an hour, all hell breaks loose and it's pouring cats and dogs out there.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida.